Welcome to hello everybody. I never get that right. Hello everybody. Hello. It's not hello. Hello everybody, and welcome to the United States. I'm not in a good mood tonight. I'll let you know straight off. We're 15 minutes late on the live show. If you're watching live, I apologise to everybody. Technical problems galore. The subscriber thing's gone missing. The lighting shit. But you know what? We're live, and that's the main thing. We're doing the show. We've got lots to talk about, and I just want to get on with it at this point because I can't mess around with stuff any longer. Sometimes it goes wrong. Anyway, hello everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. Jack Grealish in for Paul Pogba. We'll also be talking about the lack of money at Manchester United. We'll also be talking about mental health issues at Manchester United and another player that's suffering in a bad place in relation to Andres Pereira. Is this the modern phenomenon at football? Do we need sports psychologists at Manchester United? We'll be talking about that very, very serious thing. But let's start off as well. Lots of other things I want to talk about as well. Some interesting thing on Jude Bellingham, I was told today, the Birmingham City player that we were meant to be looking at. But let's start off with what Manchester Evening News. Samuel Luckhurst, the journalist, saying that in the Manchester Evening News that they've heard from dressing room sources at Manchester United that Paul Pogba is still adamant that he wants to leave Manchester United. I must just say that Samuel Luckhurst last week in the transfer window said that Sander Berg was at United for a medical, and it turned out to be a reserve team goalkeeper. So when he says Paul Pogba's unhappy in the dressing room, who knows? It might be Phil Jones. You know, he might have got it wrong again. But in all seriousness, I don't think he has. I think Paul Pogba does want to leave, and he wanted to go in the summer. Pogba's still very popular in the dressing room, the report says, but still adamant that he wants to go. This to me isn't news. We were talking about it a little bit last night about his injury record, and I do think that Paul Pogba does want to go, and I don't think his heart's at Manchester United, and I think United, Woodward, the Glazers made a big mistake by forcing a player that doesn't want to be here to stay. It was a risk. It didn't pay off. And you know what? When you look at Paul Pogba and you look at his stats in relation to assists and goals and chances created, we have missed that player, but we never should have had him in the first place. So I've had plenty of United fans say to me, "Wow, you know, you got to feel sorry for Ollie because Pogba's not been playing. Pogba shouldn't have been here anyway." So I don't really actually agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. You are aware your subscriber thing is gone. Also, why this Martial hates says Chops out. I mean, Chops, do you not listen to the start of the show when I said about the subscriber thing? I am aware of it. Maybe listen to the start of the show. Martial hate will I think people will end up regretting that. But we'll see. Look, there was a video. Flex and Rant spoke about Martial. I'm not going to speak about Martial tonight. It wouldn't be United if things didn't go wrong, says PQ Deads. Look, I just want to say this. Thanks for the appreciation from Kettle. Actually, it's, you very rarely get nice messages and support, so thank you for that. Not that you don't like the channel, everybody, but it is always nice to get a little bit of positivity. But Paul Pogba, look, I think Paul Pogba does want to go, but as I said before, Paul Pogba has got the Euros in the summer, and he needs to put himself in the transfer window. So I think he will come back, and I think he'll be a good player for us. But it's not a surprise to me that he's looking to get out of the club, and his heart's not here anymore. I think he is looking to get out, and I think it will be an amicable thing in the summer. The interesting story is that James Maddison may be about to sign a new contract at Leicester. This has been going on for a while. So Manchester United might avert their eyes away from Maddison towards Jack Grealish. With regards to Jack Grealish, I've said this a few times. I prefer Maddison over Grealish, but I've seen a lot of both this season especially, and I don't think there's much between them. What there is between them is a big fee. Maddison will demand anywhere around 90 million. Grealish, I think you can get for 50 million. So straight away, and I know the Glazers will be, let's go for the 50 million one. But actually, I don't think there's a lot between Grealish and Maddison. And I do think with regards to Grealish, I think he might be more physically suited to a battle than Maddison. So look, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I don't know what you lot think. I mean, I don't want to dwell on it too much because it's if, buts and maybes, but I do think that he would be an interesting signing. The interesting thing for me as well is that, look, this has been, I've read this a few places over the last week, but it's something that I've spoken about a bit as well, that Manchester United, this talk that we haven't got any money, and I've heard this from a lot of people over the last 12 months, that we haven't got a lot of money. They're talking about the Bruno Fernandez money coming from the summer. well, what is the summer budget? Is it predominantly going to be money that we get from Paul Pogba, or is there actually a budget? Last year, we know it was around 70 million, and that's all we spent net. So how much money do we have? And people get confused about this, and I still think that there are a lot of United fans, and maybe some of you as well, who think that Manchester United have got money. And you're right to think that, because the revenue streams are massive. Manchester United make a lot of money, but we also are in a lot of debt, and we're also run by people who bought us to make money from it. So I think the best way I could describe this, and I've always got an analogy, Manchester United don't want our owners, well, Manchester United, let's call it Manchester United, even though I hate to call them that. I like to call it the Glazers, because they're not Manchester United, but they do own it. They don't want to spend money to get us where we need to be, because it's not a good business decision. And if you're a United fan who goes, you're an idiot, Mark, we have got money. Well, yeah, we have got revenue streams. And we've got brands coming out of our backsides. I mean, we need a toilet roll brand because we've got so many coming out. But we have got money, but we've also got huge debt. We've also had £1 billion taken out of the club in the time that the Glazers have been here. £1 billion. And also, we've still got owners who aren't sat there going, I want to win a Premier League. They're sat there going, we want to make money. That's the thing. And I think when you get that into your head, and most of you have, it's not conspiracy, it's not myth, it's not lie. These people bought us to make money. They weren't United fans. They bought us because they saw an opportunity to make money. And what a business decision it was. It was just a shame. It was our football club. But the situation they've got now is like, if you think of a restaurant, I don't know, a restaurant, right? Okay. And Glazers own the restaurant. And Ed Woodward's the head bloody the au pair or whatever. I think that's somebody who looks after kids. But, the bloke who the restaurant manager, right? And he walks up to the Glazers and said, look, the restaurant's doing well. We've got loyal customers, the fans. They come in every week, every night. We make £350 million a year. It's a bloody good restaurant, right? It's a big restaurant. But there's a few restaurants around us that are actually more popular. They're winning Michelin Stars. We haven't got a Michelin Star, which is a Michelin Star, if you don't know what it is, in a restaurant. I sound like I'm a bloody restaurateur. In the restaurant business, if you've got a Michelin Star, you're considered one of the best restaurants in the country, if not the world. Well, we haven't got a Michelin Star. We used to have 3, triple, but we haven't got any now. We've got no Michelin Stars, but we're still making more money because we've still got a really loyal customer service customers that won't go anywhere else. But we could get that Michelin Star. Well, how do we get it, say the owners? Well, what we need to do is, instead of buying all our recipes from crap places like Tesco, we get it organic. We redo the menu. We refurb the whole place. We get really top quality chefs in. And I tell you what, within a couple of years, we'll get a Michelin Star. Great. How much is that going to cost me? Well, revenue will go up by about 50, from 350 to 400, but it's going to cost you 400 to do all that. Right, so you're telling me I can spend nothing and still keep making 350, or I can spend 400 to make 400 and get a Michelin Star. You know what? I'll just keep taking the money out. And that's what United are doing. That's basically the Glazers' business model. They know they could make us great on the pitch, but it will cost them money to do it. And the only thing they'll get is a happier fan base, a little bit more money, and they'll be Premier League title holders. But that doesn't give them a lot of money, and it costs them a lot to get it. And that's why we're a business and we're not a football club. Mark, knowing what we know, would you still have sold Lukaku when we did? Loaning Igalo proves to me there's no long-term plan, says Matt Baggett. Now, I've got to cut you short there, Matt, and I'm not doing it in a nasty way at all. Lukaku went because Lukaku wanted to go. There was not an option to keep Lukaku, and I do find it a little bit annoying when people say, well, we should have kept Lukaku. We didn't keep Lukaku, and Lukaku didn't want to stay, so it wasn't really an option for us. It wasn't. It just wasn't, and that's why we didn't keep him, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, look, I think when you start to get, that was a serious thing that I was saying there, even though it was a restaurant analogy, but it is serious. Manchester United owners will not spend the money that is required to get us back where we need to be, because all they get for that is a Premier League trophy or a Champions League, which doesn't actually materialise much more money for them. They make a lot more money now by keeping things tight and just making us popular. But the risk is we could drop. I think what Manchester United would like to do is just get us in the Champions League every year. That, you know, like Arsenal did with Wenger for 10 years. Weren't bothered about winning the title, weren't bothered about winning the Champions League, but Champions League and the revenue it brings every year, that keeps the sponsors happy, that keeps the fans okay. That's what the club really, really want to do. And, you know, can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer do that? Can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer do that? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. Can he do that? I've seen a lot of people recently saying give him time. Any news on the Saudi takeover, says Fejan Mahmood. Look, I don't take any notice of the Saudi takeover for two reasons. What really? One, it's been floating around for a while, and two, like, there is the human rights issues with the Saudi owners. I mean, do you want Saudi owners with all the, you know, the baggage that comes with that and the dubious sort of history with human rights and all that? I mean, there's a lot of United fans that don't want that anyway. For me personally, not the United stand, for me personally, it's a bridge I will cross if it becomes a reality. The thought of having owners who actually want to use our revenue to make us into a football club is very, very appealing. I'm tired to the back teeth of being run by people who are just literally vampires. They're sucking the money out of our club, and they've been doing it for a long time. I crave the day where we get taken over by somebody who won't do that, but when, who and where, I don't know when that will happen. I really don't. But I want to talk about this Pereira thing in a moment. I really do. But what I want to talk about first of it is a lot of people saying give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time. And can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer get us the Champions League? Because ultimately, the people who decide how long Ole's got are the Glazers, and they need Champions League football. So giving him time, well, you know, give him time. We're back in 89. Back in 1989, we gave time to a manager that had won the title with Aberdeen, won a European trophy with Aberdeen, and broken the axes of Celtic and Rangers, i.e. he had a CV. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's CV is scoring lots of goals as a player for this club and getting Molde a title in Norway and getting Cardiff relegated. That's his CV. As a manager, it doesn't come close to Sir Alex Ferguson. So when people say, give him time, remember 1989, I think it's one of the idiotic comments. I think there's more ways you could say give Solskjaer time for different reasons, but comparing it to 99 really is ridiculous. And I've seen people doing it today. And what I would say is, it's a little bit like, if you think about past players at our club that didn't do so well, that we gave them time. Like, Juan Sebastian Veron was a world-class midfielder, and we brought him to the club, and we gave him time, and it didn't work out. But we were right to give it time because his history and CV was a world-class midfielder. Jemba, David Bellion, people like that, giving them time for what? What was their previous history? What have they done? Why would you give them time? And, you know, that's what I mean. So it's a little bit like we're back in the restaurant again with United. It's like Gordon Ramsay is Sir Alex Ferguson, right? He's a great chef. He's a great chef, and he's going through bad times. You know, whatever reasons, he's not really performing. But you want to stick by him because you know what a great chef he can be. And you stick by him, and he does well, and he goes on to be brilliant for you for 30 years. He wins you a treble. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer he's got no great history, but give him time. Give him time just because he's an apprentice with a smile. So that's what I mean. That's why I just do not get lost in the 1989 crap, because give him time. Give Sir Alex Ferguson time because he actually has got talent before Manchester United. He actually has got a CV. Giving Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time because Sir Alex Ferguson got time. It's like comparing Gordon Ramsay, the chef, with some young, inexperienced apprentice. And there's nothing wrong with that young, inexperienced apprentice, but there's a different argument to be had to give them time. You can't compare the two. Not in my mind. I don't think you can. Ollie gambled and lost, end of, says Zeal David. Unless you mix your politics with money, says Armand Hendricks. Don't know what your answer in that are. Derby are winning 2-0, so it looks like we'll be playing them in the FA Cup. Thanks for that update, Mohammed Hassan. And kitchen nightmares, says Hawk said. We've been in the kitchen a lot tonight. Let's come out of the kitchen and let's walk into a nice, relaxing living room with a nice glass of port and try and make everybody mellow out a little bit, because I do want to talk about. Well, let me just talk about Jude Bellingham for a moment. I was speaking to somebody today, and I don't know whether I can quote them on it, and I don't want to, because in case I can't. But they're a Birmingham City fan, and they know people within the club. And basically, what they were saying is that about Jude Bellingham is they were saying, actually, I wish he'd come to United, because There was talk of him being loaned back for 18 months, and that would have been a good deal for us because Birmingham have got problems. I think they're going to have financial fair play problems again. So a bit of money coming into the club would have been good. On top of that, they keep the player for 18 months. Now, if you don't know anything about Jude Bellingham, 16 years of age, playing in the Championship. He's played over 30 games. He's doing that at 16 in the Championship, one of the most competitive, hard leagues in the world, in fact. And he's doing this at 16. Now, United were heavily linked to him. There was talk of a £25 million bid. It didn't happen, and it didn't come. And I don't, we got locked up in the Bruno Fernandez deal and the Agala deal, so I don't know why it didn't happen. But I was told today that the deal that United wanted to do was only £8 million up front, and the rest of it was locked in add-ons and all that again. And as soon as I was told this, I said, it doesn't surprise me. And he said, well, Birmingham couldn't accept that because they need money. They don't need add-ons, they need the money now. And I said, well, what will happen with Jude Bellingham is he'll keep doing well, and in the summer, a proper club that's got money will walk in and give you the 20 million and loan him back to you, which is exactly what we should have done. But our deal was 8 million plus add-ons. And he said, why do you think that was? And I said, because I keep hearing United haven't got any bloody money. And this is why we spent so long arguing about 5 million for bloody Bruno. This is why we were looking at loan deals. This is why we've only offered around 8 million for Jude Bellingham with add-ons, because the money isn't actually there in the club. So whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it certainly sounds as if it could be. I want the Glazers out as much as you do because they're exploiting the club, but in the past 6 years we've bought players like Shaw, Pogba, Di Maria, Martial, Fred, etc. So they've spent bits, says Adam Zanicola. Yeah, you know what, look, there is always the argument that the Glazers have spent money. Of course they are, but comparable to the revenue and the money they've taken out of the club, they've taken £1 billion out of the club. If you compare it to Liverpool, I think Liverpool as owners have owned them since 2012, so 8 years, and they've taken 10 million out of the club. 10 million out of the club. Our owners have taken £1 billion. £1 billion. That's like 100 times 10 million, isn't it, I think? So, it just shows you. That's why when people say, well, they've spent money, I always say, yeah, but look at the money they've taken out of the club. Right, let's talk about something a little bit serious here. We had it about a month ago, didn't we? Probably about 6 weeks ago now, that Jesse Lingard came out and said that he's been suffering with mental health issues and that he told Ole Gunnar Solskjaer about it. And there was a lot of, quite rightly, sympathy towards Lingard's situation because everybody's a human being. And, I think when you're armed with that information, you are going to be sympathetic to a player that is your player at the end of the day. Unfortunately for Jesse, the form has got worse. And I'm not talking about Lingard anyway, but what I'm saying is, unfortunately, his performance has got worse. And the criticism is still there in relation to his football performances, which I personally think is quite right, even though we know he's struggling off the pitch. I still think this is Manchester United Football Club. It isn't a charity. If a player's not good enough, they're not good enough. This is an entertainment business at the end of the day. We've also now had Andreas Pereira coming out, not directly, it's sources again saying that Andreas Pereira is struggling. He's upset with his form more than the fans are, and he's struggling with the pressure of playing at a club like Manchester United where there's so much negativity around the bad results. And again, it's opened up that sort of, you've got people saying, oh God, it's another player coming out moaning, ultimately using the mental health card when realistically they're just not performing on the pitch. You've got some people saying, oh, poor lads, it's not fair on them, they're getting too much stick and it's not fair, it's the social media, it's the toxicity. I mean, for me, I think the truth is actually both camps, really. I mean, you should never, ever, ever say that people are using the mental health card, because what if they're not? Very, very dangerous accusation to make. Secondly, there is toxicity on social media in relation to a behaviour that could almost be classed as bullying and an abusive when it goes a little bit too far. But for me, if a footballer is underperforming on the football pitch, then you're underperforming on the football pitch, and criticism 100% should be going with that. I mean, the day we're not allowed to criticise footballers because it might make them feel bad is the day we may as well pack up and stop watching football. It's over. Football, rugby, whatever. If you can't critique a performance and say somebody's not good enough, then we may as well all stop paying our money and call it and have a non-competitive league, and everyone can just have a go at playing, because everyone's just going to be clapped on the back and said, it doesn't matter that you cost us that goal, it's fine. So that to me is competitive sport. Competitive sport, well paid competitive sport. It's not just about dancing in the corner. It's not just about getting your name cheered in the crowd. You've got to work for that. You earn good money. You've got thousands of people watching you. It is an entertainment business. And if comedians stand up and get heckled if they're not good enough. And footballers, if they're not good enough, they get jeered. And that's the way it is. And I've said this many times. Anybody who's been going to United for since the mid-90s will remember that, especially in the early noughties, Ryan Giggs used to be a little bit inconsistent, and a lot of the Old Trafford crowd used to get on Giggs' back. But people who weren't at those games or a little bit younger would what? Ryan Giggs, the legend of United, used to get jeered. Yeah, because he used to bloody give the ball away quite a lot on the wing. He used to run down a blind alley a lot. Brilliant player, legend of the club, but this comes with the territory. And as for playing Manchester United and it being a high pressure, you want to try being the bloody, the team with Cantona and Hughes and Ince and Bruce. Everybody bloody hated us. Everywhere. Look at Selhurst Park. Everywhere we went, we were hated. And the opposition thrived on that. And that was a pressure. I think the problem also in the modern game is the social media. Glazers, sorry, we've got a super chat here. Makes me laugh that Disney bought Spider-Man from Sony faster than it took Ed to sign Bruno, says Dane Summer. A little bit topical there. And can't write this stuff. Rooney's going to end Ollie, says Charlie Welsh. And Justice V. Glazers are letting the food spoil, but they'll spend money on a sexy waitress or hostess. They'll get you in the door, but the food is crap. We're back in the restaurant again. So yeah, where do you sit on this? It's very, very difficult. Very, very difficult to. Well, no, I think you've got to stand your ground. If Manchester United players are struggling mentally, then we need a sports psychologist. If Manchester United players are struggling mentally, then maybe they shouldn't be playing for Manchester United. And that's really harsh to say that, but I don't want depressed players, because mental health is serious. And if these players are struggling with the mental side of playing for Manchester United, then they should be protected and looked after, and their health should be more prominent than putting a Manchester United shirt on. And if they can't deal with it, the club should be helping them to deal with it. And if they can't deal with it, then they should be moved to another club where maybe they can, because this maybe is something of the modern game that is very difficult. And I, as somebody who's been on social media for a few years now and received nice things and quite frankly vile things, if you're somebody who's got a clothing line or millions of followers, that's probably going to be ramped up a long way. And I think about people like Roy Keane have said it, and I think Gary Neville may have said it as well. Social media as a sports person, should you be on it? You should be on it in the sense that somebody could run your account for you, but actually reading it and stuff like that, I just think that it's just a dangerous thing when fans take sympathy on players for things that are nothing to do with their football, if you know what I mean. Like, if you're not mentally fit to play football, you shouldn't be playing football. If you're not mentally fit to play football because of what's going on social media, you shouldn't be on social media. Ultimately, footballers need protection and need help. They live in a bubble. A lot of them have been playing professional football since they were kids, and they've lived in this bubble where everything looks after them, and you wander onto social media and you can go into a very, very dark place. So I think it's more about the football club and it's more about the people around them that needs to be assessed, because ultimately you are going to get criticism, and people criticise people in very different ways. Some of it's constructive and some of it's vile, but it goes with the territory if you're an entertainer. And ultimately, I'm not going to apologise for saying that Andres Pereira was absolutely dog shit on the weekend. And if he's disappointed with that, then he should be disappointed with that, because that's his profession and he was awful. Why he was awful and whether there's an underlying issue for that, then that's Manchester United's issue to help Andres Pereira with. It's not the fans' issue to stop criticising a player who plays in a Manchester United shirt and plays as bad as that. I don't have any guilt towards that. And the same goes for Jesse Lingard, and the same goes for Phil Jones, and the same goes for Anthony Martial, who's had criticism at the moment. they are human beings, and, we shouldn't be hating on them in a way that's personal. But I judge a footballer on the way they play on the football pitch. And if they're crap, I'll say they're crap. If I see them on the street, I ain't going to shout out, "You are fucking crap" at the weekend. They'll probably tell me to F off because they might have heard what I've said about their performance, and that's fine. They're bullying me then, aren't they? I'm only talking about you as a footballer. What are you attacking me for on the streets? You see, I'm not saying they would do that, but it is. Critiquing a footballer is critiquing their football ability. That's, for me, where and that should stay in, otherwise we may as well not bother. You need balls of steel to play for this club. Quality is there, but mentality isn't. That's what happens with so many kids playing, says Lee Galdar. And it does, and it always has happened. It always has happened. You look at someone like Ravel Morrison, his talent was better than that of Pogba's, but who went on to have the great career? And personality is a big part in it. George Ramos says, Mark, I think Ryan Giggs deserves a chance to manage United. I think he's got what it takes. Also, in my opinion, Moyes should have been given a bit of time. Oh, you've ruined it there. I was half thinking you might be talking serious stuff there about Ryan Giggs, and then you ruined it with David Moyes. Mark, Klopp is a football psychologist, says Abukar Ali, and I'm not really that knowledgeable when it comes to the Glazers, but if we hit rock bottom with performances and not getting European football, could the Glazers be removed somehow, says Shea Chapman. The Glazers have got an absolute grip on Manchester United Football Club, and they will remove themselves when they want to remove themselves. But I think that my hope with the Glazers, because I think it's very unuseful to say there is no hope, there is no way we can sort this out. My hope with the Glazers is, and there's a few options here. One of them is that we just continue to get worse and worse, which I don't really want to happen, but we get worse and worse and worse, and the value of the club drops and drops and drops, and then they've got a decision to make. They take a loss and they sell the club, which they won't want to do, or they realise they've got to spend a shitload of money to get us back where we need to be. Either way, that would mean selling or spending. That would mean, but for that to happen, I think we've got to get worse. If we get Champions League football this year, we will keep Solskjaer and we won't spend that much in the summer, and we will never be winning a title anytime soon. So my hope is that Manchester United, or the other option is that all the fans and all the groups come together, get rid of their bloody stupid, childish bloody preconceptions, and actually coherently, jointly start taking real action to force them out of the club, which, to be honest with you, is highly unlikely, I think. So yeah, they're the three things for me, and I hope I haven't confused people with that, but I think actually for them to go, or for them to spend a lot of money, things need to get worse, and I don't really want that to happen, but I think that's the clearest path for change. But you've got, who's going to want to wish things get worse? They might just happen by their own things. Mark, Sean Langstaff has just scored, says Awake. Good for him. Don't want to see him anywhere near our club. And Ollie Giggs inherited already decent Wales team built by Speed and Coleman, says Daz Wilkes. I personally wouldn't go for Ryan Giggs, I've got to be honest with you. Not at the moment. I would like to see Ryan Giggs manage Wales in the Euros and then take a Premier League job. And after that, maybe Manchester United, but I don't think you go from Wales to Manchester United manager. I think we've paid the price from and Ryan Giggs could be here behind me now saying, hold on a minute, you don't go from Wales to Manchester United manager. Somebody just went from relegating Cardiff and a Norwegian champion to Manchester United manager. Why can't I have it? And he'd be right to say that, but I think that's why you shouldn't go from Wales to Manchester United manager. I think we need pedigree. And I would like to see Ryan Giggs as a Manchester United manager, but I would like to see him manage a Premier League club first and show what he's all about, because that's the way to be a Manchester United manager that we should always have been looking at if we wanted to take an ex-player to do so. Junior says, if you can't do the thing you are critiquing others for, you shouldn't have a say. Simple as. Getting angry or being disappointed in your team is fine, but not going overboard like you can do better. So, if I get that right, Junior, every football fan should not critique a footballer if they can't do better themselves. So basically, everybody watching this show, everybody in Old Trafford has got no right to critique Pereira's performance because they couldn't do better on the pitch themselves. I don't think you understand the entertainment business, mate. Like, have you ever heard of film critics who watch a film and think it's crap? Should they not be allowed to do that because they couldn't write a better script or they couldn't act better than the actor? That's not how things work. If you go and watch a stand-up comedian on Friday night and they're not funny, are you not allowed to say it's crap because you couldn't write a better show? You know, I don't agree with you on that. You pay your money, you're a customer. You know, you go out for a meal tonight, you order yourself a beef bourguignon, it comes out cold and it's got no onions in it and the beef is chicken. Are you gonna? You can't complain about that because you can't cook it yourself. Ultimately, you're a paying customer. That's the whole point. You pay for something, you get a service. If you don't get that service, you've got every right to critique it. So, look, and also, Jose Mourinho, crap footballer, brilliant manager. Has he got no right to critique the players because he couldn't do what they do on the pitch? He's a brilliant manager. You know, I think that's a flawed argument. I think if you are a customer or a supporter or you've got a better knowledge of something than somebody else, but they, you know, you can't. No, I disagree with you on that one, I've got to say. Glazers want cheap, great young talent, says Lynn Hall, who will carry the club for a decade, but won't invest in experienced scouts and top experienced director of football because Woodward wants all the power. It's impossible, says Lynn Hall. Exactly, Lynn. And this is why, for me, I think in many ways, if we got Champions League football this summer, we would have another year of Ollie, which, and I'm not bringing Ollie into this at all, but if we get Champions League football, you won't see any change next year. You'll see minimal spend, you'll see the same setup, you won't see a director of football, you won't see wholesale change, you'll just get more of the same next year. I think if we want big change, two things have got to happen. The Glazers have got to realise that we're getting worse and they need to spend money, or they've got to sell. But the only way I think that's going to happen is if things get worse for the club, which some people think is going to happen anyway. You don't even need to wish for it. Some of us actually could do better than Pereira, says Brian8863. I mean, look, let's critique Pereira because, you know, we've spoken about something very serious there. My opinion, I mean, look, I don't delete my tweets. There is a tweet out there when we were linked to James Rodriguez 3 years ago, and I was like, and I'm a big fan of James Rodriguez, and I said, we don't need James Rodriguez. We've already got somebody who will be better than him, and his name is Andreas Pereira. I spent a lot of time in the first few years of the United stand saying Andreas Pereira is brilliant. I love it. I mean, when he scored that goal in America a couple of years ago against Liverpool, I celebrated it like it was a bloody cup final goal. I really, really, really had a lot of time for Andreas Pereira as a footballer. I thought he was brilliant. And no, you know what? I would love him to come good. But he's worried me over the last year. I was up at Old Trafford when he scored the goal against Southampton. I think it was the third goal to win it. And I was just like, yes. But he's never kicked on. And I've said a few times this season about Pereira, I'm not coming from a place of never thinking he was good enough. I'm coming from a place where I wanted him to be great. He was one of the players coming through the youth setup that I was like, I really like the look of this lad. Unfortunately, I don't know what he is. I've said this a lot. I don't know what he is. I don't know whether he's good enough to play for Bournemouth. I don't know whether he's a Championship player. I don't know whether he's a La Liga player. I don't know what he is. But I certainly know he is not a top 4 player and he is not a top European player. And I don't think he ever will be. And I'd love to be proven right on that. But he is not. And for where we need to be as a club, we need players like that. So ultimately, I just don't think he's good enough for Manchester United. And again, unfortunately, I think he's put himself in the situation where he's had a lot of chances, and like Lingard, who's had a lot of chances, I think divorce is the best way forward for them. More importantly, if they are having issues, a move away from United is what they need, because I don't see either player turning it around, because the inconsistency they've shown has been the bigger part of their career at the club. The good bits have been far too small. So look, I would hope if Pereira left and Lingard left, which I think they should do, they go on and have great careers elsewhere. But ultimately, I think they've been given plenty of chances, and I just don't see good players there. There are reports that Atletico Madrid are in for Poch. It's scary because I think he's the best person to clean up this Ollie mess. Ollie out, says Adama and Nicolalo. Yeah, but I wouldn't worry about that too much, Adama, because Manchester United, when they get threatened, tend to act, don't they? And I don't think United will let Pochettino slip away if they, you know. If Pochettino rung me today and I was Ed Woodward and he said, I'm thinking about going to Atletico Madrid, what assurances can you give me about the United job? If I was Ed Woodward, I'd say, look, don't go to Atletico Madrid, it's your job in May. And Poch would say, yeah, but what if you get Champions League football? Listen to what I just said. We're probably not going to get it anyway, but the job's yours in May. That's what I would be saying. I wouldn't risk losing him. Brees Jones says, Mark, I would rather have Grealish than Maddison. I think the team could use his attitude and leadership. I agree with you on that one. I mean, I do prefer Maddison. I can't lie about that, but I wouldn't disagree with you about Grealish. Does have some good traits to him. What's all this talk about Mohammed bin Salman waiting to buy United? Is this all bullshit, and is that bad for United? Look, I haven't taken any much notice of it in here, to be honest with you. We spoke about it a few months ago, didn't we? And the connotations of bringing in Saudi buyers with the issues behind it. And I'm not 100% about those issues. I mean, I read this stuff a few months ago about the journalist in Turkey and who was murdered and other things. And it's concerning. It's concerning. But having said that, a lot of rich people have dubious things in their closet. So ultimately, should football and politics mix? Some would say yes, some would say no. But I don't see this happening. I don't see it happening. So I don't think it's anything that United fans need to even address, really. But if you want to, you can. Everyone slates Pereira, Lingard and James like they receive clear instructions and have a plan. Sorry to say, but Ollie has ruined them. I don't know whether I agree with that, Seymour, to be honest with you. I think in the case of Dan James, I think you've got a point, because in Dan James's case, I think for the first 3 months of the season, I thought, wow, what a player we've got. And then the last 3 months, I'm like, what have we got? But I think a lot of that's to do with low confidence, overplaying, and playing in a team that's not really nurturing him because there's no leaders in it. I think with Lingard and Pereira, I don't see enough of them as footballers to make me think that even with decent coaching, they would be good. But, maybe we'll get proved wrong. Nathan Nattigall says, rumour is behind closed doors, Woodward cited Liverpool as a team being able to make money without winning. A business model he's trying to incorporate. So basically you're saying that Woodward has used Liverpool as an example of a club that is winning without making money. It doesn't make much sense to me, Nathan, because Liverpool have actually spent a lot of money, but they've spent it very well because they've got intelligent people in the football club. I mean, Liverpool have made a lot of money from sales. If you think about like the Coutinho one, was that £135 million? They don't spend large amounts of money, Liverpool, but their recruitment strategy is probably the best in Europe. Like the players they buy, and it's all based on sort of strategy and injury records and what they can do for the team. And, they really do go to town on the right sort of players. I mean, you look at their recruitment. Wijnaldum from Newcastle, Fabinho from Monaco. Salah was at Roma, Mane, Southampton. Firmino was playing in Germany. The amount of players they've bought that weren't obviously going to become the world-class players they were. I mean, even Van Dijk was Southampton. So they have spent money, but their recruitment's very, very intelligent. Our recruitment's very thick. Like, we don't have people of intelligence in our recruitment decision-making. And until we change that, there's no way we're replicating what Liverpool do. I mean, we were speaking about Fabinho on this channel for 4 years. 3 years before he came to Liverpool. We never even went in for him. So these players were obtainable, but no. If United have no money, why are all targets 50 million plus, says Rodner Silhangu. I don't think Manchester United do have any money, and I'd be happy to be proved wrong on that. But I just think if we had the money, we wouldn't be signing loan players. If we had the money, we wouldn't be struggling to pay £25 million for Jude Bellingham. If we had the money, we wouldn't have been struggling to go 5 million more with Sporting Lisbon. Every pound has to be accounted for at Manchester United, and that's because every pound the Glazers would like to take out of the club. So, yeah, I just think that when you make that statement, United haven't got any money, people think, oh, we haven't got any money. But what I'm saying is, I think some fans think we've got 200, 300, 400 million pounds if we want to spend it. Well, we haven't got that, because you would spend it. Politics has always been a part of football. Most clubs were formed from workers, says Red Baron. And Robert Collins says, thank you for the show and being so consistent. It must be hard at times, but I genuinely want to thank you. This is the 40-50 minutes that I look forward to the whole day. School is hard, says Robert. Well, look, I'm glad people really do enjoy the show. I enjoy it as well. It's my little bit of therapy, and I apologise for being a little bit late today, but sometimes you do get problems when you're going to do a live stream, so I apologise for that. I never want to be late, and sometimes I have problems, but I would never not do a show unless it was urgent that I couldn't do it. So I really do appreciate everyone getting involved. And remember, we are live at 8 o'clock every night throughout the next couple of weeks, as per usual. And do watch the Flex and Rant show, because I know a lot of people like that. They were talking about Martial today, so you can get involved in that. But yeah, live every night at 8 o'clock this week. Adrian Chung says, Grealish will be a massive downgrade. English players are overrated and overpriced. When was the last time England reached the final in the major tournament? Well, we did get to the semi-final last time, to be fair. Can we buy back Schneiderlin as he's gone class as, says Thomas Lloyd Evans. I tell you what, I'm not looking forward to playing Everton, because Everton have got some good players, but Ancelotti's a good coach, and I think that game in a few weeks is going to be very interesting. Are you only running United down to get more views, says Stephen Filer? No, Stephen, that's not how the United stand works at all. I'm running United down because they're run by greedy people, and we're having our worst season since 1989. So you can sit yourself down there with your clever little comment. And also, I would also just say as well, the United stand's most successful periods in relation to views and growth was when we won the Europa League, was when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer first got the job, and when we signed Bruno Fernandez. So that's 3 things for you. That's 2, and that's 1. There we go. Mark, do you think Rashford can become an England star at the Euros? He's got to get there first, Mamo. He's got to get there first, hasn't he? And look at Harry Kane, one of the best strikers in England, and Pochettino have him playing deep to collect the ball and make plays, which is clueless. Most persons don't see that Pochettino is stupid, says Chamar. Well, Harry Kane also became one of the most consistent best strikers in Europe under Pochettino, so I'd have to disagree with you on that. Would Allegri be a good manager for Manchester United, says DB? Look, if Allegri became Manchester United manager, I would back him. Do I think Allegri would do a better job than Solskjaer? Yes. Do I think Allegri is the answer to United's problems? No. I don't want Allegri. Because I think Allegri could turn into... good evening. What was his name? I can't even bloody remember his name now. What was the last manager at Arsenal? I can picture him. Oh, I can't remember. I've had a brain blank there. I've had a brain fart there. But I think Allegri could become a little bit like the previous manager at Arsenal, and whereby he's not that personable, and if things go wrong, people could turn against him very, very quickly. Emery, that was it. Mark, are you doing any more podcasts? Ruth, watch out. We're working on some stuff this week, me and Flex, that's going to be very exciting. So yeah, looking forward for that. It's even worse having someone as a shareholder, says Stevie Mondo. Emery. We don't want Emery as manager. I know you're all telling me that's why. Let me just have a sip on my drink. I'm not feeling good today, you know. I've had quite a good day, but I think I came onto this show a little bit sad, didn't I? And the mood really hasn't lifted, I've got to be honest with you. I don't know why, but always talk about it when you're not feeling good, because a problem shared is a problem halved. If United wanted to save money on transfers, they need to scout South Americans more often. There are excellent youth players in Argentina, Peru and Brazil. That's from Steineggs Hernandez. And I think you're spot on there. I mean, we got Javier Hernandez from Mexico, and Lozano was in Mexico. I think Manchester United have a... Well, I don't know this for a fact, but my feeling about Manchester United is that we have a fear of South America, because we've had a lot of poor players from there. But Fred's working out quite well. Hernandez worked out there quite well. There's lots of other clubs, like Gabriel Jesus came over from Brazil to Man City. So I don't think you should have a fear of something because it's not worked out. I think you've got to look at your recruitment and your scouting there, because you're right, there's some really good talent in South America, and Manchester United are a massive club in South America, so we could bring players in from there, but we don't seem to want to do it. And I don't think if United wanted a Brazilian midfielder from Brazil, funnily enough, that we'd have a 3-week thing with their club saying, no, we want another 5 million. They'd be happy for the money. I feel like if we get a new manager, these Deadwood players will get another chance at the club again. Do you agree, Mark, says Mr. Novice? I've got to agree with you, actually. I did think that the other day. That is the downside of getting a new manager, because let's say Pochettino gets the job in the summer and he says, ooh, I like this job. No, but look at what Mourinho did. Look at what Van Gaal did. They had a bit of money. They had players they wanted to buy, but they all said the same thing. I've got to assess these players and give them a chance on the tour. And the same set of players, we know what I would say about this set of players. You all know it as well. Look at the bounce with Ollie. These players can do it if they want to. They're just not consistent. So new manager comes in. They all bloody try their best again. Poch is impressed because he doesn't know what's coming. And after 3 months, they're all crap again. So what we need is a manager who knows that bloody club, who's been watching that club and knows that club and walks in the door and goes, you and you. I don't care how many bloody push-ups you're doing. I've seen what you're like over the last few years. You're gone. But I want another chance. Please give me another chance. No. That's what we need. To get rid of those players, the manager that comes in needs to know the problems already. Do your bloody research. I'm available. So's most of the United staff. I'd love Pochettino. Give me a ring. I'll tell you what players to get rid of when you come in, if you come in. Or Allegri, or whoever the United are going to have as the next manager. Give us a ring. We'll give you a list of who. Don't listen. If they make you a cup of tea, they're washing your car, scoring worldies in training, do not fall for it. Get rid of them. Get rid of them straight away. That's what needs to happen. Mark, what are your plans for the summer? Doing transfer daily from Spain? Hopefully no sinking ships. Will you be doing watch-alongs for the Euros? Says Andrew Chow. Well, I can answer that question now. Transfer daily will be in the transfer window again, as per. And Euros watch-alongs will probably be on Mark Goldbridge That's Football, which I must give a shout-out for. Manchester United, Episode 1, Career Mode, FIFA, started today on Mark Goldbridge That's Football. Bruno and Agalo are in the squad, but it's at the start of the season. So I did Chelsea, Wolves and Palace. So if you want to check that out, go to Mark Goldbridge That's Football after this. There were some funny moments. And I'll be doing that live again tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And Marielle Rangel says, Neves, Grealish, Sancho in this summer and Jones, Pereira, Pogba out for 150 quid and get Pochettino in. I'll tell you, I'd like to get Jimenez. And for Martial, under 3 managers coaching, which manager coached him the best, says Roger Lal. Easy work. Van Gaal got the best out of Martial and he bought him. So I don't think there's any coincidence there. And Guled Yusuf says, what advice would you give to Solskjaer and the team? I'll tell you what, that's a very good question. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody. That's a very good question. What advice would you give to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer between now and May and the team? My advice would be the same one I've been saying for a long, long time. I said it at the end of last season. I said it at the start of this season a few times. I would say to Solskjaer this. You are lucky to still be in a job. A lot of fans would have had you sacked by now. You're lucky to be in a job. You've been given a massive opportunity and you've been given a lot of chances. You're very close to the sack. I think if you don't get Champions League football, you're gone. So what I would do is, you're gone anyway if you continue doing what you're doing. You're going to go. You're not going to win the fans around playing the way you're playing. You'll get the sack. So you may as well get the sack without any regrets and not knowing. Go back to what you did in your first 3 months. Stick Matic as the holding midfielder, put Bruno and Pogba, and go 4-3-3 with a front three that interchanges. Go 4-3-3, go on the front foot a little bit more with what, because that will automatically make us go on the front foot because we'll only have 1 holding midfielder instead of 2. And just go 4-3-3 like you did in the first 3 months. And just that's what I would do. And go out. If you're going to get the sack, go out getting the sack for the reason you got the job. As for the players, I don't know where I would start with the players because there's not a lot that hasn't been said to some of these players already. You know, you could say walk in the dressing room and say that badge means something, wear it with bloody pride, don't you dare disappoint me. But I bet they've had all that before. I bet they've had the arms around the shoulders. Ultimately, some of these players are going to be good enough, some of them aren't. And it's about getting the best out of what you can between now and the summer. But yeah, I think Solskjaer could just go back to playing how he was before, to be honest. And it was a very good question, I agree. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you are new. I'm back again live again tomorrow. Got a very good video going up for you tomorrow lunchtime. I'm not going to give you any hints, but you will enjoy it. That'll be going up at around midday tomorrow. So get subscribed, bottom right hand corner. Smash a like on the video. Hopefully I'll be able to sort out a few problems with the set by then. And I've got a very exciting show next week, which I'm excited about. I don't know how much you're going to like it, but it's a good one. I like it, and it's going to be a new weekly show. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for joining me tonight. Make sure you join me again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, and I will speak to you all very soon. Thank you.